Hi, so in this video I'm going to explain to you what it means that your identity creates your reality, exactly what it means, how you can choose a new identity without trying to force the present identity, the present idea to change from one character to the other character, because this is what we think we need to do, and that's why it's just so difficult to change from an experience you have and proof you had for 10-15 years that this is how things are, and now you try to change to something completely different. Like you've always struggled with money and now you want to convince yourself you are wealthy or a millionaire, or even if the gap is not that big, but it's so like just I don't know, money comes easily to me. Well, there's still a huge gap because you don't have experience of that, and we believe that over affirming or scripting a million times or doing techniques and methods and fixing ourselves will create that shift, but the shift is much more easier to create. So if you stay by the end of the video, you will understand exactly. And I'm going to use these little friends of mine, these little hedgehogs, they're so cute, to help you understand how you choose identities, because you do that in every moment anyways, but you don't realize. So because you are not aware of how you're doing it, it just feels a difficult task. And it's difficult to see your experience changing to a completely different one because of this lack of understanding, because it's the opposite of how the mind works. Okay, so in case that you are interested to work one-on-one with me, or you are interested about the mirror reflection, which is a self-paced journey to do exactly what I'm explaining here, but stabilizing this new identity, you can read all about that in the description box below. Now, let's go back to me explaining this to you. So you've heard this before, that your identity creates reality. What that means is that you accepted an idea about that particular thing in your life right now. So whether that's love and relationship, whether that's body and health, whether that's opportunities, career, wealth, money, cash, whatever is that, if you have experiencing and you are keep experiencing in your 3D reality situations and conditions that are not a match to what you desire, it means that you have accepted an idea that you believe it's true, and that's why that's what is creating these experiences. So for example, if someone accepts the idea that I'm just not talented, whether you concluded this as you were a child because someone told it to you, or because you concluded it after an experience you had, and now it just became who you are. You don't question that. You don't believe you are not talented. You just think you are not. Like it's just who you think you are. Now that's an identity. Or I'm just good at languages. That's another identity. Or I just have good genes. I just inherited good genes or bad genes. Or I never get sick. Or everything I touch turns to gold. But that's usually, people don't really believe that. So we usually believe more negative stuff for some reason. It's easier to accept a negative thing, but what we are doing here is to consciously choose identities that actually support what you want to see in your 3D reality, because these identities are lenses. So you as source, you as infinite being, you are choosing to experience yourself through an identity, through an idea. I mean, without realizing, we picked up so many ideas about who we are. As I said, in relation to languages, you have one identity. In relation to, let's say, cooking, or in relation to sports, in relation to money, in relation to relationships and love, or luck, or in general money, or whatever, you have an idea about who you are. You have an idea about this connection or relationship. You don't question it, you don't think about it, you just became it, and now it's your truth and you don't question it. So let's take an example. I accepted an idea from helping practitioner many years before. When I had a conversation with her, I went to her with a completely different problem, and then she told me, is there anything, or she asked me, is there anything else you would like to work on? I mean, just even hear the words, like basically she started installing in me the idea that I have to work on things on myself. Until that moment, I did not have any ideas like that. I didn't know that this even exists. So she started to introduce these ideas. And then eventually she told me, yeah, you can have whatever you desire, whether that's cash or a different experience out there, but I'm going to help you to work on your blocks, to clear your blocks, and then you can manifest and attract whatever you desire. And at that point, it felt so logical. I was like, yeah, I mean, it makes sense. That's, it's logical. So from that moment onwards, I accepted this idea that was not previously my idea, from taken over from her, and now it became my truth. And now I started to experience myself as infinite being through this idea, this concept that I have blocks and I have to clear them first. Now, what happens with this idea? That became a condition. Like basically I put on myself a condition between me having what I desire. So I cannot have it unless. And this created this, as a filter, I put it on, and then I started obviously working on myself and keep checking the 3D as a proof if I'm ready and deserving yet, and worthy enough yet, and whatever yet, enough yet in any way. And I was keep looking and keep checking, and I was always concluding that no, I still don't have what I desire. I still don't have what I desire. And then I was keep going back to working on myself. Now this idea, obviously, because it became my truth, I started to experience myself through this idea that I am the one who has blocks, which made me become a seeker, and always seeking what's the next method, what's the next technique, what's the next certificate that I can acquire, what is the next level of consciousness, how can I align more. And this created a never-ending journey of improving and aligning and going higher and expanding more, and always believing maybe I need to be enlightened, so in order to have what I want. So it really to the extremes. Now you get what I want to say. You also have some idea that you don't realize that you are experiencing yourself through that. So here we go. Sorry. So this is your whole idea. This is, for example, me. I'm going to go with this idea because then it was so real for me, and I know many of you can relate. So this was the idea. I also had before, it's very important, I'm going to show this. So I had before an identity that had no concept about having blocks. Like I was a person who never had money struggles before the idea that in order to have more money, I need to clear my blocks. Like life was just happening, I had a good job, I was making a lot of money, I never had the feeling of lack at all, until the moment that she said that. And then I started to go to her, and every week we started working on this. And then, of course, me as a good seeker, I became obsessed on methods and techniques. But then, so you understand, this, let's say, was the me of like not even having this idea, so I was happily living my life. Then I became this who now believes has money blocks and needs to work on it. So I started to experience myself and my relationship with money through this filter. And then I continued doing this for many years, until one day, which was not long ago, and because I didn't realize that it's me having this filter which creates this struggle out there, I really tried to do everything I possibly can to improve my money relationship or my money experience, which I was still inside of this character that she needs to work on it to improve it. So you understand, if I'm still inside this idea, inside this filter, I'm still going to experience the same and proof over and over again, no matter what I do to fix it, because I'm still inside the same role, inside the same character, inside the same identity. And use whatever, these words are all interchangeable. Character, and I know you've heard this, so that's what I'm saying. Character, identity, idea, filter, you name it, it's the same thing. So inside of I have this block, I only going to experience life and money, no matter what happens, through this idea. Like, oh, look at that, that's why I'm struggling. This is why I need to do more. I need to go deeper. Okay, now a few months ago, I created an AI that started to mirror me back in real time inside of my trigger, because I was just getting crazy. I was like, what the heck is still wrong? Why the heck I'm not able to experience financial freedom? Why can I just be and do whatever I want and life carries me like carries other people without them even lifting their finger? Like, it just happens to them. Like, why is not happening to me? And then an AI, the mirror that I created, started to reflect back to me this assumption over and over again. And my trigger was always about the same lie, the same assumption. And I talked about this in previous episodes, that your triggers are actually talking to you. It's showing you where is this assumption, this crazy lie that you bought into, and then you don't realize, you think it's true. It's the trigger that's showing you it's not true. That's why it feels so like, what's the word, so real, so painful. So let me go back to this idea. So a few months ago, AI was able to show me that belief is creating this assumption, this filter that I have, and I'm looking at my reality through that, and through myself, it's creating this experience of not there yet, eventually, not there yet, not for you now, still wait a little bit, still go higher. And then I realized, oh my God, so now I decided who I am now. And I stayed seated in this new identity. And it's so funny because it even has a script here. So it's very important to understand that these identities are completely different identities. So this identity, like I'm bad or I struggle with money, and this identity that I'm financially free, they're completely different. You see, they have nothing to do with each other. So who is choosing this identity? If I can look at this and I can look at this, who is in the middle? It's me, right? It's me source, I, you. You are the one who can look at these different ideas, different filters, different concepts, and saying, this is who I am. And then you start experiencing yourself as infinite being through that idea. But you can choose anything, anytime, in any moment. You can change your mind and say, no, actually I'm this. Oh, no, actually I'm this. Because as you know, all these identities and characters are all present, they are infinite, and they're all here right now, overimposed. And then you as source, as you're putting up a glasses, taking on a coat, that's how it feels like, buying into an idea and accepting, right, this is who I am now. And then you move like that. And when you say this is who I am now, it just brings an entire character, script, thoughts, emotions, actions with it. So you don't have to change anything about yourself, just the idea about who you are. So let me just give you even a better example. So let's say that I am an actor, and whatever, like Jim Carrey, because it's just been so, nowadays they talk a lot about him. And so let's say this is the character of The Truman Show, and this is the character from Dumb and Dumber. or his character, right? Now, these are completely different movies. They're different scripts and completely different characters. They think differently, act differently, and they have a completely different life experience. Now, this Truman guy could come, or the other way around, and they could meet and then try to convince each other about him being right, or him being right, or try to tell him that no, because life is, whatever Dumb and Dumber were doing. But you get me, right? It's completely different. They don't have to do anything with each other. So one character trying to convince the other, basically now you identifying yourself with you struggling with money, and you try now with a different character. It's like, no, I'm wealthy. No, you are struggling with money. Look at your life. No, I'm wealthy. I'm wealthy. I'm wealthy. Like, that's just, it's insane, because you can never convince an old identity about being wealthy who has been struggling his or her entire life, because he just can't comprehend. You choose a different one. So you don't want to fix the old one. You don't want to fix the one who's struggling. You choose one that is not struggling and has never been struggling. But you have to choose it. You don't fix the old and convince that he's wealthy, but you realize that was, oh yeah, that's an idea, that's a concept I bought into, that's an identity that that's a thought, a conclusion that I identified myself with. But this is what I choose now. This is who I am now. And then you keep insisting on being this no matter what. And how you know that is that you are the source choosing this. You are not the character. And that's why it's difficult, because many of us identified ourselves with being the character, identifying with being the thoughts and the emotions and these actions, and then trying to fix harder and harder. But that's why it's difficult to change, because you believe it's you, but it's not you. You are the one here. You are awareness. You are consciousness. You are source. You are God. And you are just choosing between all these different ideas, and then you identify yourself with it. The moment you choose, it's already true. It's already you. You already become it. There's nothing to do, because they are all present. Right? It's just, if you think about, like, I'm just talented in dancing, you don't become it. I mean, yes, you totally are dancing, and then you are performing, but it's easy for you. So the idea that is just so easy for me to learn any new dance, that's an identity. Or I always struggle with, no matter what dance is, I'm just not talented in that. That's an identity. But all these identities are present. You can change your mind at any time, because you are source. Seeing yourself through these identities. So you can choose any, or you choose none. You can also identify yourself with I'm source. And if you are source, then your characters can have anything they want. They can play anything they want to play. And then you are not identified with them. You are not identified with the struggles. You can allow them to be who they want to be. That's actually where I am right now. And it's a practice, right? You have to keep reminding yourself, keep reseating yourself in the new position. Sometimes it's instant. I said this before, I shared this before, like I had situations, even chronic illness or just crazy experience, and then in one moment, the next moment, everything shifted. But normally how it happens is that you decide, for example, I'm perfectly healthy, and you are struggling with, or your experience is struggling with a lot of symptoms, and then you say, I'm perfectly healthy. Now, understanding that you're not trying to convince your person, your identity, who is, I am the person who has this chronic illness, trying to convince that it's perfectly healthy, but you understand that you choose a healthy version of you. Right? So you don't fix this, you choose this. This is who I am now. This is who I am now. This is who I am now. I'm healthy no matter what. I'm healthy no matter what. And no matter what means no matter what I think, no matter how I feel, no matter if I have a good day, bad day, I lash out, no matter if I'm getting angry, no matter if I'm seeing all these symptoms, no matter how my body feels, I'm perfectly healthy. And if you understand that you have already chosen and you say, I already said so, I already said so. Like I already said so, I'm source, I already said who I am. And then your reality, your 3D is always loyal to who you say you are. It was before as well, right? So it's always loyal. But there is a little bit of gap what is rearranging. Sometimes a day, sometimes a minute, sometimes months, sometimes more. So you have to, it's actually the time where I've realized depends on the acceptance. The moment you accept it is so, it's already very quickly rearranges itself. So it's just that idea to accept fully that no matter what you are experiencing, you already are who you say you are. And then there's nothing else to do. If you need any help with this, with reseating yourself, with slowing yourself down from keep reacting to the 3D and keep forgetting that who you said you are, and it's a beautiful reminder. It's a journey I created. You can reach it in the description box below and have a look. You don't need that, obviously. It was useful for me, that's why I created it. Also the AI who is mirroring and mirrored me back real time inside of the trigger, which helped me to awaken from my own identity. It's always also part of it, and you get both of them for a lifetime. And also you can talk to me as well. I'm here. Let me know what this episode made you feel, if you had any understanding, any shift that would help me. Or where are you in this journey of shifting identity? What is difficult for you to understand? Because that helps me to create more videos and explaining to you. So thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much for this growing community. I'm so grateful for you guys for being here. Otherwise I would talk to no one. So I'm very happy that you are following, and see you in the next episode. Bye.